Okay guys, this is a follow-up. I've received a lot of feedback on the HobbyKing 5.8 gigahertz FPV setup with the GoPro. It's kind of what I started with before I moved over to a dedicated FPV camera. And I'll start by walking you through some of the most commonly asked questions about the setup, and then we'll get into wiring everything up. So the first thing I get asked most often is, what does it cost and what does it come with? So the cost of the FPV setup right now is about $58 for your transmitter, receiver, and cables. And you can see the RC305 receiver with your power cable. I have it going to a XT60 connector, and you also get your audio and video leads. And the other component is the transmitter. You'll notice the power cable with a JST connector and this plug that comes with 5 leads, but I pulled the other 3 out and I'm only using ground and video. Now the other main component is this video out cable that you can get from Ready Made RC. See on one end it has, you know, your servo connector, and this cable only has video capabilities. So your orange is your video out, your brown is your ground, and red you don't use. It's possible to get an audio video cable, and this is from Ready Made RC for $9. And you'll notice that once again we have video and ground coming out of the transmitter. We run those to our Ready Made RC connector. Now I just have a little header pin soldered for ground and video, and we're going to run video to orange and ground to brown, and that's really all the soldering you need to do to get this setup going. You obviously want to protect that, but for this video we'll leave that exposed for the time being. And of course the other main component is going to be your LCD monitor or your FPV goggles. I currently fly with a monitor just because I'm still getting my feet wet and haven't splurged on a set of goggles yet. But this thing is great, battery powered, so you charge it up, flip the switch, and then you have your AV inputs. Now I got this guy for $54 from Amazon, but I've noticed that it doesn't look like they're carrying this version anymore, and it looks like they're carrying one that comes with a TV tuner. So I'll post all links to different products in the description and see if I can locate this version. If not, you'll probably need to get the tuner version, which is quite a bit more expensive, or you can find another LCD display. So that was once again $54, 7-inch display and battery powered. And last but not least, we have batteries. For the transmitter, I run a 2S 800 milliamp LiPo. This runs about $8 from HobbyKing. And for the receiver, I run this 2.45 amp hour Turnigy 3S battery. Now you could get away with a lot less milliamp hours on that, but this runs about $19. So that's the 2S that goes with the transmitter, and the 3S that goes with the receiver. You could run this off your car battery or, you know, any sort of power from your ground control station. So all in on the setup is about a little bit less than $150 to get in the air with FPV and your GoPro. Okay, so let's wire everything up. This is our transmitter that we would mount to the quad or whatever multi-rotor you're flying, fed into the Ready Made RC cable, and we're going to run this into the video out or the TV out, this top port on the GoPro. And now we'll hook up our receiver. There are 2 AV out ports, which is good, and then our power input. And I'll go ahead and connect our video cable, and on the other end we'll run that to our video input on the digital prism monitor. And now we'll power our transmitter with the JST connector and our 2S LiPo, and you'll see that we have power. On the receiving side, we'll connect our 3S LiPo Now we have power on the receiver. And finally, we'll power up our monitor. We should see that, we're on AV input. We have different modes that we can select, and you'll notice that there's no signal currently. So let's go ahead and power up our GoPro, and we should see a video picture. And now you can see we have video. The next question I've been asked quite a bit is, what is the range of this guy? And I've done a little bit of range testing. The current range that I've found before you have a complete loss of signal is almost a quarter of a mile. I'd say a little bit less than that. HobbyKing's website suggests about 500 meters, so that's fairly accurate. And that range is particularly a function of the default kind of rubber ducky antennas that come with the setup. If you were to look into a circularly polarized antenna, like one of the antenna configurations from IB Crazy, I've read that you can get almost a mile of range with this setup and the 200 milliwatt transmitter, which is what the HobbyKing FPV setup comes with. So the next question I've been asked is, what happens to your signal when it gets weak with this LCD display? So here we are with a pretty weak signal, and we're still getting a picture on the screen, but there will come a point where there's enough signal loss to where the screen doesn't display at all. You still have a bit of picture and hopefully can regain signal before you lose your multi-rotor, or you have to trigger return to home. Okay, the next frequently asked question that I get, and was difficult for me to answer initially, is how does the channel selection work on this? You'll notice that we're on channel 3, binary 1 is on, binary 2 is on, so 1 and 2 is 3. That's on the receiver. And on the transmitter, from left to right, you see the up position is on, so 1 and 2 are on, and 3 and 4 are off. So what I'll do is I'll flip switch 3 on, so now that's on. Take a look at our display, no signal. And now on the receiver, I'll do the same. I'll flip channel 3 on. Okay, so that's a binary 7. 1 plus 2 plus 4, that's channel 7. Now we have channel 7 on both our transmitter and receiver. And we have signal. And in my original video, I ranted about this for quite some time and received a lot of negative comments about how I went on and on about it. But all that to say that you notice that we just switched 1, 2, and 3 on for channel 7, but that doesn't match up with the label on the receiver. So all that to say that both the manual and the sticker on the receiver did not match up at all. So I don't know if HobbyKing's done anything about that, but just keep that in mind. You have the binary configuration for those switches. Okay, last but not least, I get asked, what's the payload of this setup? Okay, I have it hooked up to the digital scale. Payload of 0.1 kilograms. So about 0.22 pounds, 3.5 ounces. And I've gone ahead and added the GoPro to the payload. So 0.21 kilograms, 0.46 pounds, 7.4 ounces. So that's the HobbyKing 5.8 gigahertz FPV setup. Like I said, right at about 150 bucks. Not including the GoPro, of course. And this is what I flew with for quite some time before I switched to this dedicated FPV camera. But I wanted to do a follow-up just to kind of show you a quick wiring setup, as well as answer some frequently asked questions that have come through my channel. So I hope that was useful, and if you have any other questions or comment suggestions, I'd love to hear them. And thanks for watching.